Imagine it's a hot day, maybe the kids are in the pool, maybe you're just thinking about home safety. There's a whole market around that one you might not even think about much. Today, we're diving into the global swimming pool alarms market. It's really this interesting mix of safety, tech, and how people behave. Okay, let's unpack this. We're using insights here from cognitive market research, looking at data and projections from 2021 all the way out to 2033.
Exactly. And our goal really is to pull out the key takeaways for you. Not just the numbers, but what they mean. Why is this market growing? What does it tell us about safety trends, technology adoption? Well, worldwide.
Great. So let's start big picture. The whole global market. Back in 2021, it was sitting at about, what, $243 million?
That's right, $243.133 million to be precise.
Okay, and the forecast. It's expected to hit nearly $289 million by 2025, and then keep climbing to over $407 million by 2033.
Which gives us that compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of just over 4.3%. 4.388 technically.
Right, 4.388%.
And what's fascinating here, is that a KGR like that, while it might sound modest year on year, it adds up. It shows this really consistent, steady growth.
But it's not just a blip.
No, not at all. And it's not just about, say, new pools being built. It suggests something deeper, like a shift in how people think about pool ownership liability, maybe.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you see this significant retrofit market. People with existing pools are adding or upgrading alarms. Maybe insurance requires it now, or maybe it's just, increased awareness.
Yeah, that makes sense. That 4.3% annual growth, nearly doubling the market in about 12 years. That's pretty significant for, well, pool alarms.
It really is substantial.
Okay, so with that global growth established, let's maybe zoom in. Regional dynamics. North America seems like the place to start, right? Big market share.
Definitely. North America's been a leader. In 2021, it was worth almost $96 million. That's $95.795 million.
$96 million, okay. And projected to grow to over $152 million by 2033.
That's the projection, a regional CAGR of about 3.96%.
And within North America, the U.S. is obviously the giant.
Absolutely, around $78 million in 2021, growing towards $123 million.
So you pointed out something interesting before we started, Canada's growth rate.
Yes, that's quite notable. While the U.S. market is bigger in sheer size, Canada's CAGR is higher. 4.646%.
Higher than the overall North American average and the U.S. rate.
Exactly, starting from about $10.7 million in 2021 and heading towards $18.5 million. Mexico's growing too, around 4.16%.
So what does that tell us about North America?
Well, the U.S. numbers reflect a mature market. Lots of existing pools, regulations already in place in many areas driving things.
Right, state laws and things.
Precisely. But Canada's higher growth rate might suggest maybe faster new adoption, perhaps a slightly later boom in pool culture, but with safety mandates coming in strong right alongside it.
Interesting. So new bills there might be driving that rate more.
Could be a significant factor, yes. Different dynamics at play.
Okay, let's shift across the pond then. Europe, what's the story there?
Europe's market was around $54.7 million back in 2021, and it's projected to reach nearly $87 million by 2033. The overall CAGR is similar to North America's, actually just under 4%, 3.967%.
But you mentioned it's more of a mosaic over there. Different countries, different speeds.
Very much so. This is where it gets really interesting, you could say.
Okay.
You have Germany, for instance. It's a really strong performer. Started at $11 million in 2021, projected to hit almost $19 million by 2033.
And its growth rate?
High, 4.645% CAGR. Very similar to Canada's rate, actually.
Wow, okay. Who else stands out? The UK?
The UK shows robust growth too, yes. About 4.26% CAGR, from roughly $8.8 million to $14.5 million.
And Spain?
Spain's solid as well, around 4.3% CAGR. Smaller base, $4 million to $6.6 million.
Okay, so Germany, UK, Spain. Pretty healthy growth. Is there a contrast in anyone slower?
Yes. Russia shows the slowest growth in the region according to these figures, a CAGR of just 2.68%.
2.68%. That's quite a bit lower.
It is, going from about $3.3 million to $4.5 million over the 12 years.
And there are others mentioned too, right? France, Italy?
Correct. France, Italy, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and then a collective rest of Europe, they all contribute to that overall picture.
So why the big differences within Europe? Germany growing fast, Russia much slower.
It likely comes down to a few things. Pool ownership rates vary a lot, obviously, but maybe more importantly, it's the regulatory environment. Different countries have different safety standards, different levels of enforcement. Germany, for example, often has quite stringent product safety laws and a strong focus on home safety.
That could drive adoption more directly.
Exactly. Whereas other factors might be at play in places with slower growth economic conditions, perhaps less prevalence of private pools, or just a different legislative approach.
Okay, that makes sense. So established markets like North America and Europe show steady, if varied growth. What about the faster-growing regions? Asia Pacific.
Yes, Asia Pacific. We called it a growth engine, and the numbers really back that up.
It has the highest regional CGR, eh?
It does. Over 5.2%, 5.271% to be exact.
Wow. So the market there was about $62.5 million in 2021.
$62.485 million.
And projected to hit over $115 million by 2033. Nearly doubling.
That's the projection, $115.6 million. It's a really dynamic region.
And China's a big part of that, I assume.
A very big part. Starting at over $20 million in 2021, projected to reach nearly $39 million. Its CAGR is strong too, about 5.45%.
But you flagged India earlier. That growth rate is even higher.
It is. India has the highest CAGR within the region, a really impressive 6.166%.
6.16%.
Yeah. It's projected to more than double its market size from about $8.2 million to nearly $16.8 million.
That's remarkable growth. What about other areas there? Southeast Asia?
Southeast Asia collectively also shows a very high CGR, around 5.775%, moving from roughly $5.3 million to $10.5 million.
And the report also mentions Japan, South Korea, Australia.
Yes, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, and the rest of APAC all contribute.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what's driving this boom in Asia Pacific?
It seems to be a combination of powerful trends happening at once. You've got significant new construction, especially urban development.
More pools being built.
Exactly. Plus, rising disposable incomes mean more people can afford pools or homes with pools. And crucially, there's a growing awareness, a real increasing emphasis on safety, particularly child safety, as living standards improve.
Right.
So it's like this confluence of factors. And sometimes these markets can kind of leapfrog, adopting the latest safety tech right from the start rather than going through older stages.
That leapfrogging idea is interesting. Okay, so that's APAC. What about the other regions, South America?
South America is also showing solid growth. Projected CER of about 4.74%.
Okay.
The market's forecast to grow from around $12.4 million in 2021 to nearly $21.7 million by 2033.
And Brazil leads there?
Brazil's the largest market, yes. About $5 million to $8.5 million projected growth. Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile, others are also part of that regional picture.
Got it. And the Middle East?
Middle East growing from roughly $10 million to just over $17 million.
Any standouts there?
The UAE actually has a notably strong CAGR, similar to Asia Pacific's overall rate. It's about 5.2%.
5.2% for the UAE. Interesting.
Yeah, from about $1.8 million to $3.3 million. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Qatar are also mentioned, contributing to the region's growth.
Okay, and finally, Africa.
Africa's market is projected to grow from around $7.8 million in 2021 to about $13.3 million by 2033.
With South Africa leading.
South Africa has the largest share, yes, moving from about $3.2 million to $5.9 million. Nigeria and the rest of Africa make up the remainder.
So looking at South America, the Middle East, Africa, these seem like smaller markets now, but still growing steadily.
Exactly. They're what you might call emerging markets in this context. While the absolute dollar figures are smaller than, say, North America, the growth rates are often quite healthy. They show significant future potential as development continues, urbanization increases, and, well, leisure amenities and the associated safety concerns become more prominent, kind of mirroring patterns we saw earlier elsewhere.
Right. So we've toured the globe, seen the numbers. Let's pull it all together. What does this all mean? What are the core reasons why this market for pool alarms is on such a consistent upward trend globally?
Well, the research really highlights three key drivers, and they're quite interconnected.
Okay.
First, and maybe most obviously, is increasing safety regulations.
Right. Laws and mandates.
Precisely. More governments, more local authorities are putting rules in place, maybe requiring alarms for all new pools, sometimes even mandating retrofits on older ones to prevent accidents. It's not uniform everywhere, but the general direction is towards stricter rules.
Makes sense. What's the second driver?
That would be rising consumer awareness, just people being more aware of the risks and the solutions.
So education, media attention.
Yeah, public safety campaigns, news stories, maybe even social media discussions. It leads to this heightened sense of personal responsibility, especially for parents or anyone with kids visiting. People start seeing alarms less as just a compliance thing and more as, essential for peace of mind.
An investment in safety.
Exactly. And the third driver ties into that nicely: technology integration.
Ah, the tech side. How so?
Well, the alarms themselves are getting better, smarter. We're moving beyond basic floating or gate alarms. Think about alarms using sonar or infrared or ones that connect to your smartphone. You get instant alerts wherever you are. Some even integrate with your whole smart home security system.
Making them more effective, maybe easier to use.
Definitely more effective, often more user-friendly, and certainly more appealing to people who want that connectivity, that convenience alongside the safety benefit. It drives adoption, especially among tech-savvy homeowners.
So regulations, awareness, and technology working together.
Pretty much. Those seem to be the core forces pushing the market upwards.
It really does paint a picture of, well, more than just sales figures. It feels like a shift in how we approach safety around something as common as a swimming pool.
So to recap briefly, we see this clear, consistent global growth. North America is strong, but Canada's rate is notable. Europe is solid but varied, with Germany standing out.
Then you have the real dynamic growth in Asia-Pacific,
Huh.
led by impressive rates in places like India and Southeast Asia,
Right.
and steady emerging potential across South America, the Middle East, and Africa.
That sums it up well. A consistent upward trajectory overall.
So what's the final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Well, this raises an important question, I think. We've talked about pool alarms, but is this growth just about the alarms themselves? Or is it a reflection of something broader, like evolving societal priorities about safety, how we use technology, our sense of personal responsibility when it comes to leisure?
Hmm.
As our homes get smarter, as awareness of all kinds of risks increases,
Yeah.
what other hidden safety markets might be out there? Things we maybe take for granted now, but could see similar growth as focus shifts.
That's interesting. Like, what's the next pool alarm market?
Exactly. It makes you consider how we fundamentally value and invest in peace of mind and preventing harm in all sorts of areas of life.
Definitely something to think about. A great thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.
Okay, picture this for a moment. Like, it's a beautiful, quiet afternoon. Maybe the kids are playing nearby, you're relaxing, lost in thought, and then you hear it, a splash, completely unexpected. You don't know who or what it was. It's those critical seconds, right? The moments just before something unthinkable might happen. And that's where some really cutting-edge tech is now stepping in, meticulously designed to protect those moments. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging into the world of swimming pool alarms. Our mission is to pull out the key insights from a report by Cognitive Market Research titled Swimming Pool Alarms, Market Dynamics and Innovations. We're not just reading a summary, though. We want to unpack the real drivers, the hurdles, and the truly fascinating innovations shaping this vital industry. So for you, our listener, think of this as your shortcut, your way to understand why pool alarms are moving beyond just being an accessory. They're becoming, well, an indispensable layer of home safety, really. We'll explore how technology is making them smarter, more effective, connecting them into our lives. But also look at the challenges, the things holding them back sometimes. It's all about peace of mind, yes, but also about the cutting edge of home tech. All right, let's get right into it then. What are the main things pushing the growth in the swimming pool alarm market? What's really fueling this momentum we're seeing?
It's really interesting because it taps into something fundamental, doesn't it? This shift in how we think about safety. The number one driver, without a doubt, is just this growing concern for the safety of those most vulnerable around pools. Kids, obviously, but also the elderly, even pets. People are actively looking for reliable ways to prevent accidental drownings. It's becoming more proactive. And these alarms, they give you that immediate alert if someone or something enters the water unexpectedly. That gives you those vital seconds, life-saving seconds, often, to intervene. It really shows a broader societal move towards active prevention, not just reacting after something happens.
That makes perfect sense. Individual safety concerns, absolutely paramount. But what about the rules and regulations? How much is legislation playing a part in this market growth? Are governments pushing this too?
Oh, absolutely. That's providing a huge push, a major catalyst, actually. We're seeing stricter government safety rules coming into play in many places. Lots of countries, and quite a few U.S. states now, have building codes or specific pool safety laws that actually mandate alarms. This applies to both new private pools and public ones as well.
So it's not optional anymore in those areas.
Exactly. It becomes non-negotiable for many pool owners and operators,
Mm.
and that naturally boosts the adoption quite significantly, especially for specific types like uh, surface wave alarms that detect ripples or subsurface ones that monitor below the water. Different tech for different needs and rules.
Hmm. Interesting. So you've got this push from personal concern and this pull from regulation. Now, everything seems to be getting smart these days, right? Our homes are more connected than ever. How do pool alarms fit into that whole smart home trend?
Yeah, this is where things get really integrated and, frankly, pretty exciting. The demand for pool alarms that can sync up with your home Wi-Fi or connect to smartphone apps, maybe even integrate with your whole home automation system, the demand is just soaring.
Okay.
So pool alarms are evolving. They're not just standalone sirens by the poolside anymore. They're becoming these connected guardians, part of your network. These smart versions send real-time notifications straight to your phone or whatever device you use.
Ah, so remote monitoring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remote monitoring. That was almost unthinkable just, say, 10 years ago. So you get an instant alert, whether you're just in another room or maybe miles away from home. It adds this completely new layer of, well, peace of mind.
Right. But like any technology journey, there are always bumps in the road. So even with all this growth, what are the main challenges? What's kind of holding back even wider adoption of pool alarms?
Well, one of the most persistent issues, especially with some of the earlier models, particularly the surface wave type,
Mm-hmm.
has been false alarms, a high rate of them.
Ah, okay. The classic problem.
Yeah. They can be triggered easily by things that aren't a threat at all.
Hmm.
Strong wind creating ripples, heavy rain, even just a large bird landing on the water. And that leads to frequent annoying alerts, which over time causes frustration, obviously. But more importantly, it can erode trust. People might start ignoring the alarms or turn them off.
The cry wolf effect.
Precisely. And that's the absolute last thing you want with a safety device, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes total sense. User trust is just critical for safety tech. But okay, beyond the tech glitches like false alarms, are there bigger picture things, maybe societal factors slowing things down in certain parts of the world?
Yes, absolutely. A really significant challenge is, well, limited awareness and just lower prioritization of pool safety in many developing regions.
Hmm.
In these markets, the focus, understandably perhaps, is often on more basic infrastructure, fundamental needs.
Mm.
Drowning prevention, while tragic, might not always be top of the public agenda or policy focus.
Mm.
Combine that with a lack of widespread public education on the issue and often looser safety regulations around pools. It just creates an environment where pool alarm adoption is, well, pretty sluggish, even though the potential benefit is clearly there.
Okay, and thinking about the practical side for someone just wanting to buy one for their home pool, are there common headaches with like installation or making sure it works with their specific pool?
Yes, that's definitely another barrier. Compatibility and installation aren't always simple. Not every alarm works well for every type of pool. Think about above-ground pools, or
Right.
maybe pools with really irregular shapes, or ones that have an attached spa or hot tub.
Right, they all behave differently.
Exactly. So finding the right system for your specific setup can be a bit of a challenge for consumers. And then, even if you find one, installing and calibrating it correctly can be complex. It might require some technical know-how that not every household has readily available or access to support. It's not always just a simple plug-and-play device.
Okay, so we've covered the drivers, the challenges, false alarms, awareness, compatibility issues. But despite all that, innovation is clearly pushing forward. So, looking ahead now, what are the really cutting edge advancements? What's exciting coming down the pipeline for pool alarms?
What's truly fascinating now is the jump into uh, artificial intelligence,
Mm.
AI, and much more advanced motion sensing tech. Manufacturers are now integrating AI-driven sensors. Think of like putting a smart brain inside the alarm.
Okay.
This allows the system to learn and, crucially, distinguish between harmless stuff like wind, leaves, maybe a pool cleaner moving around, and a genuine potential threat like a child falling in.
So it directly addresses that false alarm problem.
Exactly. It dramatically reduces those false alerts we talked about, which in turn boosts accuracy and hopefully rebuilds that user trust. It's moving from just detecting any motion to detecting meaningful motion. Intelligent detection.
That is incredibly smart, using AI to filter out the noise.
Mhm.
And it seems like even environmental concerns are playing a role now. How is sustainability showing up in this space?
Yeah, it's a growing trend and a very practical one too. Solar-powered pool alarms and generally more energy-efficient designs are really gaining traction.
Ah, solar makes sense for poolside.
It does. These models appeal to people who are environmentally conscious, of course, but they also offer practical benefits. They can be truly off-grid solutions. You don't need to worry about wiring as much. And solar power minimizes the need for battery changes, ensuring the alarm works continuously, which is obviously vital for safety. So it's kind of win-win, greener and more reliable.
That's a great combination. Good for the planet, good for safety.
Mhm.
Now, what about shifting the focus? Instead of just reacting after someone's in the water, is their tech moving towards being more proactive, preventing the entry in the first place?
Yes, and this is a really exciting development, I think. It's this move towards integrating alarms with wearables and also with geofencing technology.
Okay, explain that a bit more. Wearables like wristbands.
Exactly. Some advanced systems can now connect to special wristbands, maybe worn by children.
Mm.
If their wristband gets wet, it instantly triggers the alarm. And then there's geofencing. They're testing solutions that create a virtual boundary around the pool. If a child, or maybe even a pet wearing a tag, crosses that boundary and gets too close to the water's
It
edge,
sends an alert before they even fall in.
precisely, before they even touch the water,
Mhm.
it fundamentally shifts the whole safety paradigm from being purely reactive, alarm goes off after entry, to being proactive, a warning system. It adds this entirely new preventative layer.
So, listening to all this today, it's clear that the swimming pool alarm market is, well, it's evolving incredibly quickly, isn't it? It's meeting consumer demands for safety, it's responding to regulatory pressures, and it's leveraging some amazing technological leaps. It really feels like a market sitting right at that crossroads of public safety and cutting-edge innovation. Which brings us to the final thought for you, the listener. What does all this actually mean? When you consider these advancements, AI, wearables, proactive alerts, what responsibility do we have as individuals, maybe as a society? How do we balance relying on this amazing safety tech with, good old-fashioned human vigilance, watching the pool? And maybe think bigger too. How can these kinds of innovations empower us to create safer environments everywhere, not just around pools, in our increasingly connected world? How might these layers of tech redefine what peace of mind even means in spaces we haven't fully considered yet? Lots to think about there.